Hi everybody, welcome back to Sean's World. Now in today's video I've got a variety of emergency jobs as always to address, so let's go inside, get set up and see what I'm doing. Well, first job is have a tidy up for sure. Now although it's still quite warm and a little bit muggy sometimes, the weather does seem to have sort of gradually started to change into autumn. Now whether or not that is way too soon, not quite sure, but it's pouring down. Yeah, you just get a feel that the weather is changing, which it often is. Okay, right, from my last video, I think I left off from this hole up here, so we take a closer look at that, I think. Right, okay, so this is the area that I removed in the previous video. The plaster was defective and there was a big hole there, so that had to come out, which it has. It's also exposed the fact that there isn't stones tied into this all the way up. Now that's quite a crucial junction up there. We've got the A-frame from the next door in the barn resting on this point here above in the stonework. I've reinforced that and made it all good when I've done the work on the A-frame in the barn. But we've got floor joists here and we've got beams here which are holding the floor joists. Now it's all resting on here, which is perfectly fine. That timber looks to be okay, but I think what I want to do is whether or not I'll get a chance to do it today, because I'm going to do some insulation upstairs shortly, but I'd like to address this area. So I want to pick this timber up, reinforce it, maybe bring a timber down to the ground to a pad stone, and I may even do this section here in the traditional way with the old laths and the lime and some straw mixed up. So yeah, maybe have a go at that as well. But basically I want to reinforce this weak spot of the cottage. It's been water damage from the roof. Someone has said, well, why have you let it get like this? The simple reason is when you've got a property on such vast sort of scale, we had to concentrate on where we was living. We knew this was deteriorating and we would need to address it. So the hole in the roof has only become really evident in the last sort of, well, 6 months I suppose, maybe less than that. But there has been leaking elsewhere, which wasn't so easy to detect. And with a lot of these things, you don't know until you actually break it all apart. So when the wall fell down below, I knew it was time to act. And so yeah, that's what I'm doing now. So a lot of this stuff I haven't seen before, but it's my opportunity now to, you know, secure it for the future. So we'll pick this beam up, which in turn will support that one. Now don't forget, at a later date we're going to be moving this wooden lintel for the doorway up higher, so we're going to be disturbing this area. When you do that, you need to make sure everything else around it is absolutely 100%. So yeah, going to pick up with this very shortly. Going to get some insulation done upstairs, and then I'd like to come down and at least start to address this area. Okay, right, let's head upstairs, get some insulation done. Let's put my pointing stick down as well if we've got a teacher. So this is what I've managed to do so far. It's the bottom third section, the front of the cottage. So I think I'll address the rear of the property, that bottom third section just across there. So because I've had to use the end of the roll, it doesn't quite reach from left to right, which is what you should always aim for, so you haven't got any joints there. But anyway, I'm going to have to use the end of the roll and we are going to need to join it. So I'll get this tacked up and I'll show you how and what method I use to join these two together. So now that I've got both joins overlapped and battened, that's as good as a seal really, but what I like to do is extend it a little bit further, and then you use this tape here, excuse me, special tape for these joints. It's well worth taking your time with this and just making sure that you just overlap. Get a nice wide one, and that way it'll bridge both sides, any imperfections, and just get that sealed up. And then that way you've got like a continual sort of piece. There's no gaps or joins, you know, that can let in any moisture or any elements like that. So yeah, quite a simple but rewarding job. You can achieve a lot in a very short time. So yeah, just tacked it. This was a little bit different to the other method I used because I've done it in one roll, so I had to tack the middle and pull it out. This way I could sort of pull it and just use a staple gun, then put the buttons on. So you just adapt to your situation. So the trick is to get it apart. Measure out how much you really need, one go, so if you keep doing it lots of joins. Sort of pull it tight like that without taking off the backing. Pull it tight to where you need it to be, then remove the backing. You might find that easier sometimes. Just smooth it over. And just simply tear it off, and then just overlap the top and bottom. That way you find that if this ever does give away in the next 10-20 years, I've seen this still good after 15 years, so that's okay. At least you know you got your batten on your overlap, so you won't actually lose anything if that degrades and comes away. Right, okay, let's on to the next side. So there you go, you get the idea. We just tack it up with staples and then counter batten over the top of that, and yeah, just repeat. Right, talking of repeating, I won't carry on doing any more of this at the risk of it being boring, so let's go on to our next emergency repair. So I'm just going to have a quick tidy up here, then after that I've noticed when I was down here that this purlin here has had quite a bit of damage over the years. There's a few sort of cracks in it, a bit of a weak spot there. So what I think I might do, let's get out of the way of the light for a start, is maybe, obviously I'm not going to take this purlin out, maybe put a new one piggybacked across from that A-frame to that A-frame. Now I might have to take this piece off here, I can reattach afterwards, and then it will just pick up these rafters. I don't think I've got to cut off too much to get that in there. I've got enough cut somewhere. Let me just show you what I mean. It's blowing a storm outside and the sheet's not holding up so good today. It's letting in quite a bit of water. So this is the size timber that I'm going to be using. It's a very, very thick piece, and it is for what I intend it to be. Now, if I can get a long link through there, even if I've got to cut off a little bit, it doesn't matter too much. So we go through that way, and yeah, it's going to fit through there, I think. Might be a little bit of adjustment. So I've got a few links here. One of those will be suitable. Now it's also worth mentioning that when you come to these old buildings there's lots of nails in them. Never run your hand over them, even with gloves on. Run a hammer over them, you pick up anything, it saves your hands. So get that out.
Timber! Get nervous when you say timber around here.
Well, look at that, first time. First time, you didn't believe that, did you?
Took a little bit of wrangling, but it's in now. Right, I'll get some fixings in that. And that's really beefed up that other purlin. Okay, I've just secured it to the side of the A-frame there. Got to repeat the process this side, and then I'm going to fix the new purlin down into the old purlin.
This will all be boxed in anyway, so it doesn't have to be particularly pretty, but just strong and functional. So there. Right, let's get this cut. When you're using a saw, and before you sort of start hacking into it, let the saw do the work. Don't put too much pressure behind it. If you have to do that, your saw's too blunt. Ideally, clamp your work down or put it somewhere safe. But always have your thumb on that side, running up and down the saw, like so. That way, if it bounces over, your thumb stops it going into your hand, because when you're putting force behind it, it's hard to stop. So the first few times you just draw it back, make a cut into it, and then just slowly that's it, nice clean cut. Solid. Right, let's get some fixings in this now. So this is now nice and solid and secure, which is good because not too long I will be putting a Velux window in this part here, so I'll need to cut some of these rafters out. So we have to make sure the timber work around it is really strong and secure. So that is right, that's one job off the list. On to the next one. So I think we'll go back downstairs and we'll have a look at the wall by the door, the front door. That needs addressing. I'm not going to do any more insulation right now because that becomes a bit too repetitive and boring. So we'll go down there and we'll have a look at that hole in the wall. So this is the area by the front door. As you can see, there's a big hole at the top and there's some render missing from this area here. Now before I address the problem above, I'll get some lime render knocked up, I'll get some thin lathes, and I'll work on this area, get this nice and secure, remove this defective bit here before I can work on this area above. I've got my lathes. Now I'm going to give these a good soak, a bucket of water, just so I happen to have one just outside the door. Right, they've had a good soak now, at least half an hour, so we'll get them tacked up and then I'll knock up some mortar, or render, sorry. So I'm going to cover this wall with something else, so it's going to be like an independent wall in front of it, maybe a stud work, solid timber wall, not quite sure yet, wood cladding, might be brick, stone, but this will be independent and there'll be insulation in between the two.
So there we go, it's pretty crude but it doesn't matter, it's going to be rendered over. They are chestnut laths, like I say I've given them a good soak in, just dust down, maybe spray the wall, get some render knocked up and we'll get the first coat on. So maybe not the best conditions to be cutting this up into smaller pieces, but nevertheless that's what we're going to do. And this will act as a binding agent material. Modern day concrete, sometimes they put fibres in them. Same principle really. I always wondered what it'd be like to be a barber. No, these are not the same scissors that I have my hair cut with. Right, it's all cut up nice and small. Well, is it going to work? Is it going to stick? I was going to say you'd have to join me next time, but that'd just be cruel, wouldn't it? Right, let's see how it goes on. Now the quickest and best way to do this is literally like that. Little dobs. And that way it gets right into the gaps. It's like a little nib over into the back of the laths. Right, that's my test. Pretty happy with that. And then just key it in. And that way it goes over the top, like I say, and then you get a real good adhesion to what's behind it. And the timber can breathe. So any moisture trapped, when I put my new wall in here, I'll have a moisture barrier on the inside so the wall can breathe out that way. And then for any moisture that's in the room, I'll have a mechanical extraction system and ventilation in here. So you have to be very mindful which way the moisture gets trapped and where it can breathe out to. So that's the first section done. I'm going to get another mix going and do the rest of the area, get it all done in one coat so that can be going hard, and then it will give us a chance to work on that hole afterwards. It's going to need some extra timber work, but until we get that base nice and tight and secure, we can't work on that hole. So I'm going to get another mix going and yeah, we'll just carry on. Now the ratio is 1.5 sand, just over, to 1 lime. And then as you work forward, you can come a little bit weaker with your mix ratio. So what I mean by that is the first coat's going to be, say, about 1.5 sand to 1 lime. And then as we progress on the different layers, I'll do a 2 sand, 1 lime. So it gets gradually sort of weaker as you add on to it. The first one needs to be the strongest. I think about that one, didn't I? Getting late in the day. Okay, so we just wet it down again. Where's where your goggles?
Okay, so we're just literally get it in there. That's it. So we can build it up in different layers. So let's just deal with this area here now. Oh yeah, might have made it just a little bit too wet. No, that's fine. Yeah, I think that's done the job. A little bit of patching up here and there. Right, just let that set a little bit, then trail it in, get it right into the gaps. And we've got a nice sturdy base for when we tackle that big opening there. So, okay, let's give that 5 or 10 minutes. So before that goes off completely, I'm just going to run some score marks in it. That'll just allow it to key into the next layer a bit better. Hasn't got to be done in any order. This is just the most efficient way to do it, I think. That's it. Do it just before it goes off fully. So it just gives it something to key into. So it's never going to be a pretty wall, it's all going to be covered in, but I just needed it to be structurally sound, which we are actually getting there with it now. So yeah, that'll be the next area that we cover, this one here. Now, as you can appreciate with these old properties, they do chuck up some surprises. So I've been looking around a little bit more on this internal wall, and it appears that the actual foundation doesn't exist. There is no foundation for this wall. There's a few pad stones which support some main vertical beams going up, but other than that, the actual wall itself is just laid on top of this rammed earth floor, which is clay. So now my idea is to dig some of this clay out, get it level, because the front of the building is 17 inches lower than the back of the building, like the floor level. So to dig out 17 inches at the back, that's severely going to undermine that interior wall. So what I'm going to have to do, I think, is gradually take some floor level down, dig a trench next to the wall, fill that up and reinforce it with some concrete. Do the same on the other side, which I've done on the other side of the barn, that big wall that I built. Maybe not so heavy duty, but maybe a few courses of concrete block on the inside of that side. So basically we're coming either side of the wall, we're digging down a little bit, we're going to put like a foundation in there just to secure that inner wall, which is a little bit of a surprise. But yes, it really does rack my brain sometimes. I keep looking at the construction, trying to work out what come first, what building. Was it one building and then they changed it? It really is puzzling. Some buildings have got fireplaces upstairs, nothing downstairs. I think they've sort of evolved over the years as the farm sort of grown with the animals and that. So yeah, it's always challenging, but I'm up for the challenge, so never mind, we'll get over it all. But yeah, just at the moment it's a bit of firefighting really, doing a repair there, doing a repair over there, which is all good. You get to see how these places are constructed, and yeah, makes for good content hopefully. But let me know in the comments, am I doing a good variety? Am I skipping over things too quickly for you? I do listen, try to read all of your comments, although the list is getting longer and longer. I listen to, advice. We don't know it all. We come across things that, educationally you think, that shouldn't be like that, but sometimes in different countries there's different methods of doing things, different regulations. Can be quite baffling sometimes, the best way to do something, but
do our best. Like I say, you know, if you're in any doubt, consult your local professional, because building codes change everywhere. Right, okay, where next? Shall I measure the room, let you know sort of what size it is? I've got a rough idea, but it'd be nice to see what the tape says. Let's get a tape out and just measure it out. Six metres front to back. Just under 6 that way, so yeah, by the time you take a little bit off for the internal walls, what would we say, sort of 27, 28 square metres. Not a bad size. Yeah. So, what's the plan with it? Right, well, as I've mentioned before, you come in, kitchen to that side, to the right, back of the house, to the left, living room, sort of dining, and then what I like to do is keep with the sewage and the soil pipe all in one area at the back. So bathroom directly above that upstairs, down to the kitchen with the utilities just going straight out the back, and then into the sewage system I've got out there. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Now lots of you have asked what the plans are for the fireplace. Will it be an open fire? No, I plan to have a wood burner installed in there. That's the most efficient way, really. Open fires look very nice, but they're not very efficient, and all the heat goes up the chimney. So yeah, we're going to have a nice wood burner in there. Now whether or not I have a back boiler or something else like that, not quite sure yet. I'm going to look into that, but all that soot and stuff needs to be cleaned off. Not quite sure how easy that'll come off. I've not tried it yet, so maybe give that a go one day. So yeah, I did mention that I was going to have some columns down each side, because I'm not sure, although we've got the cantilever stones there and there, they look okay, but upstairs there's been a little bit of water damage, so I might just, you know, just to be on the safe side, support the main wooden lintel with some decorative oak beams, so make a feature of it. Not quite sure yet. So yeah, the half stones might have to come up once I start digging out the back of the floor, so we've got to come down 17 inches, quite a lot. So that will probably have to be relayed as well. Might make it a bit bigger actually. So yeah, lots of interesting stuff and projects coming along. Also got to render each side of the fireplace. Like we mentioned before in the previous video, the actual pointing wouldn't be, I wouldn't gain nothing from pointing it. It's an infill wall, so I'll tell you what I might do, just put a little bit of water over that just so you can see the joints a little bit clearer. Any difference? Not so sure. Might be able to see the stone a bit clearer. Yeah, I'm not sure whether the camera will pick it up. I think you get a rough idea though. It's a bit higgledy-piggledy, as we say. So yeah, we're just going to render that one. I do plan on doing something a little bit different with that salt hole. So this particular property has got 3 salt holes even. Can't even say it properly. Got one there actually, I've just noticed. Never seen that before. Oh, look at that. You know, I've never noticed that. How far that goes in. Yeah. There's another big, well, not big, it's small but deep hole there. That's interesting. That they would have hung their chimney crane, they would have hung their pot from over the fire. So yeah. It's very original. We've got another salt hole there. We've got another one there. And who wants to see upside the construction of this chimney? It always fascinates me. In an open fire, they've got a timber structure on the inside for the chimney breast. Now it's not the first time I've seen that, but it is another reason why I'd never have an open fire here. Imagine that. Anyway, it looks pretty good from the inside. Yeah, definitely not an open fire in this one though. I shall put a wood burner with a stainless steel twin-lined flue going up there. That's intrigued me, that. Wonder what they hid in there. And then of course above the wood burner will be there. The open area above it, we will install what they call a register plate, insulate it, make it nice and safe, and then the flue just passes through that. So yeah, we can get that looking nice. Probably going to remove the plaster from around there if it is defective. If it's not, I'm just going to clean it. Not quite sure what I'm going to do with the ceiling yet. It's all chestnut. My cottage is all oak, so maybe built at a different time. Right, let me show you this main beam, how crooked it is. It's hard to see when you're standing up, but when you're underneath it, it's quite a size. 16 inches. Oh yeah, the same. 16 by 16. It does look like it might have been wider at some time. Maybe this came out of another building. They did that quite a lot. It's so difficult to age. Now another feature that you'll find on these big beams, depending on their age, you'll find lots of these holes. They go right the way through. One there, and one there. Now they have these pegs going right the way through. Can you see the other one? Let me know in the comments what you think they were used for. I would also like to thank Alice that purchased these lovely items from my website shop, welcometoshaun'sworld.com. Everybody that's made kind pledges, donations, joined Patreon, buy me a coffee, it is really, really appreciated from myself, can't say it enough. All your nice comments and all your support, it is, yeah, it gives me that push, that boost to keep going. So, right, I'm off to the post office. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.